Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be covering the topic of family vlogging channels and just why they are so damaging and dangerous. It's definitely a big topic that is something I've wanted to talk about for a little while now. I have made a few videos about specific vlog style family channels. I made a video about Ruby Frankie when her arrest happened, and I've also done a video on Resilient Jenkins, who is a TikTok family. We're just going to go ahead and get right into it by starting out with going over what even family channels are. I'm sure if you're on my channel or if you watch other commentary channels, you've heard of family channels before, but if you haven't, just a brief little description of what they are. Family channels or family vlogging channels are exactly what it sounds like. It's a family who vlogs their day-to-day life. A lot of time, obviously, it's run by the parents, but the kids are featured very heavily in the content as well. A lot of the time, actually, I would say the content mostly focuses on the kids and the parent interactions with the kids specifically. The channels wouldn't really work if there was no children on them. And a lot of times, what kind of content the kids are in are things focusing on like their day-to-day life, their first day at school, shopping for back to school, Disney trips, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of the time, something I've noticed across these family vlogging channels as well is that they have multiple children, and oftentimes the pregnancies of the new babies are featured very heavily in the content. So some of the kids in these families never have experienced life without being part of a vlogging family, which is just crazy to me. Like, I can't even fathom that. Today's oversharing and like sharenting, as they call it, with this like oversharing parenting epidemic, it's just insane to see the way that things have changed. And it's mind-blowing to me to think of a kid being raised literally not knowing what life is like without their parents vlogging their every moment for millions of people to see. But there are many babies who are going to grow up to be adults who that is their complete childhood. It's just mind-boggling to me. But initially, I will say, when you hear about these family channels, it doesn't sound like a bad thing. It actually sounds like kind of just a positive, or at least a neutral thing. It just kind of comes off as, you know, family-friendly content that other families can enjoy, relate to, videos that are safe for the whole family to enjoy, like parents can watch and enjoy, but also kids can watch the other kids in these family vlogging channels and kind of relate and enjoy what they're doing. I will say sometimes viewers do develop a somewhat of a parasocial relationship with the families that they watch, where they actually feel like they are friends of the families and friends of these kids. So at a surface level, these family channels do seem relatively harmless and like not a big deal. But when you dig a little bit deeper into what's actually going on here, you can see that they're actually so problematic for many reasons that we're going to get into right now.
Come here, come closer for the video. Come closer. Come closer. Come closer. Put your head right here. Come closer. Act like you're crying. Really quick.
I am crying.
Go like this.
No, Mom, I'm actually seriously crying.
No, I know, but go like this for the video. Go like this. Put one hand up. Go like this.
So I'm going to outline multiple different issues that these family channels fall into. The order of the issues I'm talking about are just random. It's not like order of most important to least important or anything like that. I think ultimately all of these issues are important. Some obviously are a lot more severe than others, but at the end of the day, all the reasons that I'm going to mention are why I think family channels are so problematic. And the first issue I want to look at and talk about is exploitation. So family channels rely heavily on the exploitation of kids' vulnerable moments that they really cannot consent to being shared. Young kids really don't understand the gravity of what they're consenting to when they agree to their parents sharing these moments. Kids can't understand or conceptualize that potentially millions of people are going to see those moments that are being shared. As far as they see it, it's just them with their mom or dad and a camera in their house. No one is around, so it's hard for them to really understand that many people are going to see that video. I think even if the parents tell the kids that the videos get millions of views, a lot of them can't even fully understand, especially really young kids, which a lot of these videos do feature really young kids, as young as like babies and toddlers. Those kids do not have a perception of what a million people means. They might know 5 or 10 people in total, like their family members, their siblings. There's no way for them to take what they know and replicate it on a scale that's a million people seeing them. They just don't get it. And hopefully I'm being clear with what I mean, but like there's no way for them to even perceive what that would be like. And I think that the lack of people being there when it is just their mom or dad filming them on a vlog camera in their house, the lack of anyone else even being present for that probably makes it hard for them to even understand that other people will see it at all, let alone millions of people. And I don't think it's fair for parents to use their children's consent to be in the videos as an excuse for why they're exploiting their kids for views. And we do see this when the parents are called out, that they'll always be like, Tim loves being in the videos. He gets so excited when we vlog. And it's like, yeah, of course he does. Of course your 4-year-old who gets to go to Disney World or gets hauls full of toys when the camera's out is excited to see the camera out. That does not mean that the kid is actually able to fully consent and understand what they're agreeing to when filming. Of course the kid who's getting tons of attention and toys and trips to Disney is going to be excited and agreeable when you're filming.
Yeah.
So I'd say it was fun. Everybody loved making videos. Being a little kid, she loved making videos. I was telling you off camera, if like her friends come over to the house, they like ask if they can make YouTube videos. If Posey's little 4-year-old friends come over, like, hey Cole, can we make a YouTube video? I'm like, that's not how it works. But all that being said, it's kids love making videos. We've loved making videos. It's been a lot of fun. Obviously, it's come with hardships and negativity over the years.
Yeah.
But the root of it really is just we had a lot of fun doing it.
We get a lot of family time out of it too.
We also don't know what would happen if the kids ever do say no, because I mean, obviously we aren't shown that on the camera, and we aren't shown what kind of bribery or things happen to coax a yes to filming out of these kids. Would the parents be mad at them if they said no? And sometimes I would assume that with these parents who their sole income relies on their kids being in the videos because the kids are what drive the views, there probably would come a day where if the kids keep saying no over and over, that the parents are going to say, too bad, I'm the authority, we're filming today, and like, this is what we're doing, we have to do it. And I don't feel like it's fair for the family's sole income to be riding on the fact that these kids have to agree to be in the videos. I just don't think that's pressure that should ever be on kids. I don't think that's okay. It takes away their childhood, and that's not fair to them. And of course, also with these young kids saying yes to filming in the videos, they might be okay with it at the time. They're little kids, they're having fun, whatever, and they can't understand or have the foresight to think of what their older years are gonna look like as a result of this. But we know, like Sherry Franke and Chad Franke from the 8 Passengers channel, they're the 2 eldest children who have both come out and spoken against family vlogging and just their experience with it. They had talked about how they had no friends. Even in the videos at the time that were being posted, they said they didn't have friends because their friends didn't want to be filmed. They weren't allowed to text, so they couldn't build social relationships that way.
The last videos that we did on electronics, you guys saw that I took his phone away.
I still don't know how she hasn't gotten that back.
So in our house, when we take something away, it's because they have shown that they are not responsible enough to manage it. And so we don't just turn around and give it back as soon as they start acting good.
It has to be consistent.
It has to be consistent over a minimum of 6 months. And that's showing up consistent in every aspect of their life.
That's a new rule.
That's a new rule.
Oh wait, just...
A minimum of 6 months.
Have I ever given something back less than 6 months?
I found my phone.
No.
Chad hasn't had a flip phone, a smartphone, any kind of phone, and it's been over a year. And I still have no intention of returning a phone. If I was to go back and redo anything in parenting, it would be not to give the kids a phone. Yeah, so there will be basically no technology over the summer.
And now I have no friends.
You can play with friends.
No, like I don't have friends.
I don't have friends either.
I literally like told my friends I'm not hanging out with them anymore.
Sherry Franke specifically has spoken out about how she didn't have friends because her friends didn't want to be filmed on camera, and the cameras were rolling constantly.
My friends became scarce because dates were filmed, and none of my friends wanted to be on camera. The camera never stops, and there is no such thing as a break from filming.
I just think a lot of the time these kids are too young to understand how these videos might impact them when they're school age. They could get bullied or harassed for what was shared about them or made fun of because of what was shared about them in the videos. It also takes away the kids' chance to meet people organically because everyone they meet in their lives or at school are going to have a preconceived notion of who they are based on the vlogs that they've seen them in. And the kids featured in vlog channels are often exploited in multiple different ways. Not only are their most sacred and sometimes embarrassing moments exploited for views and for money, like Sherry Franke, who has opened up about how her first period was shown on the 8 Passengers channel, and that's not something that she wanted. It was embarrassing to her, but it was shown because it would get views and engagement. Those moments are one way that the kids are exploited. They're also exploited for their labor because they're being forced to work pretty well 24/7 anytime the cameras are rolling, and oftentimes it is completely unpaid or is not paid in a way that's justifying how much they're working. So even if their parents do set some aside in a savings account, the amount they're making compared to the 24/7 workload and burden of the entire family's income riding on them, it's not equivalent at all. We also see a lot of the time that their private health information is exploited for views as well. So there are tons of videos across YouTube and TikTok of kids experiencing various health issues or ailments, being in the hospital for sometimes illnesses that are really severe, sometimes just small things, all the way to them being diagnosed with various diseases and things, and all of it is shared, sometimes for the purpose of raising awareness. But in my opinion, your desire to raise awareness should not outweigh your kids' right to privacy about their health information and what they want shared.
He gets after school. He is getting 1 feed before school, 2 feeds at school, and then 2 feeds when he gets home. That has never happened to us since the NICU. He has never gone 6 months without going to the hospital, let alone a doctor's office. It is just so wild to feel that normal. It is so crazy because and we are headed to the hospital. We have a long few days ahead of us, but this little guy is going to be a champ. This is Beckham's biggest surgery he's ever had. He's going to have both hips operated on. This is his 5th surgery in 4 years, so wish our little guy luck.
So any health issue that these kids face is used for views, or it's clickbaited in titles, or even health issues these kids aren't facing is clickbaited, like the Labrant family who made a video saying she has cancer and showing their daughter on the screen, but it was actually about them going to a hospital to like visit kids who had cancer.
And back in February of 2021, we posted a video called My Struggle with Anxiety.
It's always a little more like, I'll let you kind of talk a little bit about it, but was always a little more like stressed out about things with the kids, like just like health issues.
It's something that makes people speculate on your own kid's health while exploiting the health conditions of other kids that you're visiting in the video. Like I said, they're exploited for their labor as well, because a lot of the time, yes, the parents could still make vlogs without the kids being in it. But we have seen when parents post videos on these family channels where the kids are not involved, the views are way down, which means the income is way down. And it puts way too much pressure on the kids to perform and to be willing to be in the videos to uphold the lifestyles that these parents are paying for off the backs of their kids' work. And not only is family vlogging extremely exploitative, it's also very dangerous for the kids that are involved. And it puts these kids in front of the eyes of potentially very sick and dangerous individuals. It's definitely not hard to figure out when you see TikToks of very young children with, say, 10,000 likes, but then 40,000 saves and shares, who the primary audience for that type of content is. Posting your kids online to the extent that these families do, both on TikTok and YouTube, is like serving them up on a silver platter to all the creeps out there. And I'm not talking about just like a family photo on Instagram every now and then, but the extent and the way that these family vloggers and TikTokers are sharing their kids in videos and photos of them eating and bathing, it goes way beyond just a harmless family photo. And like, this definitely is a very dark topic, and it shouldn't be the case. Parents should be able to post anything of their kids, and they should just be safe, and no creeps should be able to have access to them. But that's not reality, and that is not the world we live in. And it should be, as much as it sucks that that's not the world we live in, it's just not, and we know it's not. So when people are parents, it is their duty and their job to protect their kids and not to actively put their kid in harm's way. A lot of like mommy vloggers and mommy vlogger defenders will point out the fact that like if you go to a beach or a pool that's public, there could be creeps there that are looking at your kids too. And like, yes, that's true, and it should not be the case either, but that is a possibility anytime that you go anywhere. The difference to me and to many others who have criticized family channels and family TikTokers over the years is that kids need to be able to explore their world. Kids need to be able to go outside and go to the beach and enjoy time outside and be active outside and swim at the pool with their friends. Those benefits to the kid outweigh the potential risk that there could be a creep there. It's also pretty rare. You're not going to go to the beach and of like, say there's 100 people there might be 1 or 2 people who are there and being creepy. Online, there's hundreds of thousands, and you're basically sending it to all of them. As I mentioned, benefit to the kid of kids needing to go out and be able to engage with their world. When you post your kid online in the way that these family channels and TikTokers do, really the only benefit is to the parents. The parents make money, the parents have their mortgage paid for, the parents get to go on these luxury trips and things like that. Yes, the kids obviously get the benefit of like the house being paid for to go on the vacations too, but they shouldn't have to work for that, and their safety shouldn't be compromised for those benefits when it's up to the parents to provide for the children, not the other way around. These channels also put their kids in danger physically. So not only could there be tons of people watching their content for all of the wrong reasons online, but posting so much about your kids' lives, like where they go to school, where you guys live, showing your neighborhood, showing all the surrounding area and the places that you like to go, like what Target you like to go to and all these things. You're giving people every ounce of information they would possibly need to be able to find you or to be able to find your kids. And I mentioned parasocial relationships before, but like there are people that could potentially take that way too far. Like, God forbid someone really crazy is watching these videos and develops a parasocial relationship with one of the kids and thinks that they want to go and meet them or potentially take them. It wouldn't be that hard for them to do that. It's just super dangerous. And we have seen fans of celebrities and YouTubers alike going way too far. I know there have been so many YouTubers that I follow that have had people show up at their house asking for a picture, asking for an autograph, which is so fucked up. Obviously, I don't agree with that at all. But we've seen it happen. So for these family channels to think that like that will happen to other people but not to them is just crazy. And I don't know why you'd be willing to risk that, especially when you do have kids at your house that you owe them a safe place to live. And it's not outlandish to think that it would be possible that someone could develop such a strong parasocial relationship to where they would go and try to find these kids. Obviously, I hope that that doesn't happen. And like I said, God forbid that it does, but I watch a lot of true crime and crazier things have happened for sure. But one TikTok account that comes to my mind specifically is Wren Eleanor, which I'm sure you have heard of that account. But Wren was actually the baby. The mom's name is Jacqueline. And the whole entire TikTok page was videos of Wren.
Sprite.
Are you sure? Do you want to change your answer? Try it one more time.
Jacqueline would make a few videos here and there of just herself, and the views compared to the views of videos of just Wren were insanely different. And all the videos on the channel were deleted about 7 months ago, but this account relied solely on Wren performing in the videos and being in the videos. It was not an account about Jacqueline, and Wren was just in it sometimes. The account was strictly about Wren. Jacqueline claimed that it was to like make memories and be like a digital scrapbook, but the thing is, if you're making a digital scrapbook, all those videos could have been private and it would serve the same purpose. Or you could have a private account where only your close friends and family can follow it. And there were tons of videos of Wren that got an alarming amount of saves. Like, I'm talking hundreds of thousands of saves in comparison to the videos of just Jacqueline, which got like around 10k 20k saves, which obviously it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out who's saving the videos of Wren. A lot of the most popular, which it even makes me sick to refer to them that way, videos on this channel were the ones of Wren eating things like a lollipop or a hot dog. So the worst part of it is that Jacqueline, the mother, was called out for so long about the creepiness and all the saves on the videos, and she couldn't even plead ignorance by the end of it there, because we know with proof who was watching these types of videos. There were so many videos of Wren eating the food and people would stitch it, and the people who were stitching it were grown men just saying, that looks yummy.
Alright, let's see what she's gonna eat. Pork, that would be so not halal mode for me. Some cookie dough? Kitten candy? Coca-Cola? Some popcorn? Some caramello apple? Water, I'm sure you're thirsty after all that food. Jumbo pickle? Tootsie roll? Raspberry lemonade, I love lemonade. Alright, and a hot dog, nice. Philadelphia. Oh, of course, and a snow.
There was also evidence of very messed up, sick people on Pinterest and Instagram using phrases that I guess you could say are like dog whistles to be able to find the accounts where they can kind of fly under the radar and share this type of content. I'm not going to share a bunch of it here, but you can find the receipts all on Reddit. If you go back, there is pages dedicated to like mommy vloggers and Wren specifically, not the girl, but like the whole account of Wren Eleanor. And Wren's videos and photos were shared across Instagram and Pinterest in these boards and pages with really creepy people operating the pages. And Jacqueline was obviously very heavily scrutinized for this. There was tons of TikTokers and YouTubers who came out to try to expose this, get her attention on it, because if she truly didn't know, it's like, dude, you need to know, you need to take those videos down right now. And for so long, she would defend it, saying that these were just her making memories with her kid and like she doesn't like people saying stuff like that. And she would kind of just ignore and skirt around the topic, but it was very obvious that she had seen what everyone was saying and was well aware of it, but wanted to keep making the videos and obviously wanted to keep making the money.
What you need to know is that no law enforcement agencies I conferred with, including the FBI, have found any proof that my daughter's likeness appears on inappropriate websites. These rumors are 100% false. If anyone has real, tangible proof, please contact me immediately.
Hey, you said you wanted some proof, so I decided to just go look on Instagram to see if there's any fan pages. Let's count them, shall we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Sorry, that was all I could find in just like a 5-minute time frame. Let's take a look at the comments, shall we? I will spend so much money for this call. This is from the infamous Wren at the fair, eating a bunch of stuff. Take me to a place like this. I eat Wren first, then everything else. These are both grown men, by the way. I love her so much. I miss her somehow, as if she was in my arms every day. I'll go around it. I don't really know what that means, but I don't think I want to. I wish it was mine. Where do they sell these dolls? Jacqueline, I believe you're an enabler yourself, in my opinion. But if you're still claiming that you're not, these accounts and these comments should concern you, because these accounts clearly enable pedophilia. And they're targeting your child.
And unfortunately, like I said earlier in the video, the internet is forever. So even though they deleted all those videos off of the Wren Eleanor page, tons of people still have those videos saved already. They've reshared them in millions of different places. It would be impossible to completely scrub them from the internet. It just sucks that the views and the money were more important than potentially Wren's safety. A lot of the time people do make excuses for family vloggers or family TikTokers by saying that those messed up, sick people will go to any lengths to find the content that they want to find. And unfortunately that is very true, and I 100% do agree with that. It is a whole nother level of messed up for the parents of these kids to be serving on a silver platter their kids for these creeps to be able to watch for whatever purposes they may have. And the next issue I want to talk about is that a lot of the time the need for crazier and crazier content that is going to get more and more views is the kids' lives in general are just made not that great by the family vlogging. A lot of the time, the parents in these family vlogging channels are willing to put their kids into not great living situations just for more views and more engagement. Like, for example, the RV family is living with 10 kids in an RV, or parents not giving their kids access to their own room and their own beds, like in the case of the Resilient Jenkins family, who I do have a whole video about. And even sometimes it goes as deep as abuse, which we're going to cover that on a separate topic. Weirdly enough, there are so many RV family vlogging channels. It's like a whole genre of family vlogging on its own. There's just so many examples of this. It's kind of like a crossover between van life and family vlogging put together, and you have like family RV channels.
Bus with my husband and our 7 children. Let's do a bus tour. Okay, shoes kept right here. Our littlest Moses basket on this side. We have 2 long couches with 6 seat belts attached. A fun thing, these slide out on both sides, and this can make into one big space for movie nights. Also underneath, we have tons of storage. Also, our bed drops from the ceiling. Stay tuned for part 2 to see how it works.
We're the wildthornbaileys.
Family of 6 living full-time in our camper with our 4 kids, and today is move day. We have been working, adventuring, homeschooling, and living full-time in our RV for 4 years now.
And I think a lot of them go viral because the living situation is so wild and their way of life is definitely so different from most people who just live in a house, their kids go to a regular school. These RV families are constantly traveling, the sleeping situation's weird because of the RV, they're homeschooling on the road, just life is so different for them. A lot of the time they're just called out for the parents having like a big huge king bed in the back of the RV, and then the kids are in like little tiny shoe boxes stacked up on top of each other with nothing but a curtain for privacy.
So glad we did. They're super awesome. This folds down to make it easy for them to climb in. Latches so they won't fall out. Have our kitchenette area.
Let's check out the kids' bunk room. We finally finished and they got curtains.
Hey guys, this is my bunk bed. This is where I keep all my toys. This is my stash. Don't tell anyone. Decorate my room with an eat sleep game. And these are my stuffed animals.
Bye.
Hi, this is my bunk bed. I love sleeping in it. I even have all my stuffed animals fitting in it.
Oh, how did you pick the top bunk?
I think it's cool to sleep in it because I never really actually slept in one before.
You see my bunk room? I painted it and I decorated it all by myself. I love to draw in my bedroom, so I keep all of my stuff back here.
You like your curtain? Bye!
Hi, this is all my drawings in my bedroom.
You like your bedroom? Do you like sleeping in your bedroom with your siblings?
I wish this was only all our beds.
You wish you could all sleep together?
And obviously there are many issues with this. I don't think inherently that like traveling with kids in an RV and having a small bed is a problem necessarily. Like, I don't think that that's bad on its own. If this was just a vacation or something, like a summer vacation, but for this to be their entire living situation, their entire home with no privacy, no door of their own, no space from their siblings or from their parents at all, I just don't think that that is a great living situation for the kids.
How we sleep in the trailer. It used to be a table, but it converts into a bed. Here's the couch, and Noah's sleeping on it. Here's where Enoch sleeps. Here's Elijah. He has a top bunk. And down here are Pearl and Naomi. Here's where Josiah sleeps. This is where Moses sleeps. And this is where Mommy and Daddy sleep.
This family is odd to me as well because not only obviously are the kids in the content and thus making money for the families in that way, but all of the kids are trained in an instrument and they go around and like busk in town. So the kids are not only just providing for the family by being in the content that pays the parents, but they're also providing for the family by performing their instruments in town to get money for the family.
Everyone wants to know about our finances. Like, I've done a very long set of busking videos, like what busking is, you know, how much we make, even like what it goes towards. Like, that's how we pay for music, and our music bill is very chunky.
And now obviously the living situation of these RV families is not ideal, and I want to point out something that I get, that sometimes people have no choice but to live in unideal living situations due to financial constraints or reasons like that, and they have to live in spaces that are way too small for their families, and that is totally, I don't want to say okay, because like obviously it's not ideal and I don't think anyone should be forced in that position, but if you are forced in that position, that is okay and understandable, and that's so not the issue here. Like, it's not okay in the sense that we shouldn't be existing in a world where most families are 1 or 2 missed paychecks away from homelessness and being forced into a situation like this. But it's okay in the sense that like, if that's what you have to do to get by, then that is okay. If there's a roof over your head and a bed to sleep on, that is enough. And I don't think that families that fall in hard times and have to resort to living in this way to keep their family together are awful by any means. I think that sometimes in life, you just gotta do what you gotta do to make it by. And if that's what you gotta do, that's what you gotta do. So I am not putting down that at all. What I am putting down though is people choosing to live like this with their kids, forcing their kids into the living situation, forcing their kids not to be able to attend traditional school or to make friends because they're always on the go when they don't have to, and when in fact they're probably even more financially better off than a lot of people, because the thing is starting this lifestyle is not free. There's a big cost involved in starting it up. I think a lot of them see it as a business opportunity. Okay, we'll buy this RV, it's going to cost us a lot right now, but this content will go viral, we'll make tons of money. There's a YouTube creator who I saw made a whole video about RV families in general called Funky Frog Bait. I'll tag them down below because they have a video dedicated specifically to these RV family genre of family vlogging. Moving on from these RV family channels, even the kids living in giant mansions with their families on these family channels, lives are not always as great as they seem. Family channels often result to things like playing cruel pranks on the kids to get views and to get the kids all upset on camera, because people will more likely click and watch that. So not only is the kid hurt and traumatized by the prank itself, but then that very vulnerable moment is shared online for views and clicks. A good example that I can think of that is the Labrant family, who like pranked their daughter into thinking they got rid of their dog. And I'll play the clip of that here now just so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about.
Sure, we just had to inform her of some bad news, some sad news that she didn't know about. And we kind of thought that she already knew, but we hadn't told her. And Savannah told her the sad news. Ev, you want to talk? You okay? You okay? Come here.
What's the matter?
What's the matter? What's the matter, Ev? You haven't even told the vlog yet. You want to tell the vlog? No? You want your mama to?
Well, baby's sad too.
Carl, come here. Carl, come here.
So we have kind of been discussing Carl lately. There's a few reasons for why we are doing what we're doing. And basically, we're giving Carl away to somebody else. Because everybody's really sad. And
we're gonna let her give him away to whoever she wants. Who would you want to give Carl away to, Ev? You gonna miss him? So, also, the last thing that we wanted to tell you is that tomorrow's April Fool's.
And this is our April Fool's video.
We're
We need to keep Carl.
We're keeping Carl. Oh, she's so
don't be mad at me.
Too far? Too far? Have you literally poured water on my shirt 2 seconds ago?
Yeah, we don't want to be each other.
And they also sometimes create fake scenarios in order to go viral, like the Ace family pretending that their house was broken into.
Ace family, so we just got home. We've been at Disney all day, and someone broke into our house. As you can see, we literally walk in the house. The house is pitch black. That's how you know it's a robbery when you got 4 cars out here and about 8 total cops involved.
Didn't take your wallet?
Mostly everything that's ransacked was upstairs.
What?
It's unclear if the kids even know that it's for a video or not. So a lot of the time I actually don't think the kids are told beforehand. I think that a lot of the time these family vloggers backpedal after the fact and say, oh, it was a prank for the video, our kids knew, like they were in on it. But like generally speaking, obviously there are some kids who are very skillful actors. Most kids are not skillful actors. You can tell when they're lying, you can tell when they're faking their emotions. They can't get upset on cue like that. I feel like just generally speaking about what life is like for these kids of family vlogging channels, I can just imagine like living in a space where someone is constantly filming and I'm just picturing not ever having any privacy, not knowing what's going to be shared that I say, and I feel like I would constantly be on guard, and there's no way that these kids don't feel like that. If they're having a bad day or upset or embarrassed, I feel like they wouldn't even be able to share with their parents because they don't know if it's going to be told to millions of people or not. We've talked a lot about the bad aspects of these family channels in general. I also need to take a bit to discuss the really dark side of some, not all, family channels, and that is the topic of abuse. Now, unfortunately, for some of these people, getting views and money is just not enough. They need more attention, they need more views, they need more sympathy, and that does unfortunately lead to the mistreatment of their children on and off camera. Sometimes the abuse is even shown in the content, and other times it happens without the viewers at all being aware. Obviously, the most notable example of that in recent history would be Ruby Franke, who I have made a video about that whole situation. I'll have it linked down below when that all came to light. I'm not going to do a full breakdown in this video. I will link my other video down below. And there are many other YouTube creators who have done detailed breakdowns of everything that went on with 8 passengers and coverage over the time from like the beginning of the channel to the end when everything went down. But I will do a little rundown in this video just for the sake of clarity in just what we're talking about. So a little backstory, I'm just mostly reading from my notes here so I don't get anything wrong. A little backstory is that Ruby Franke had a family channel that featured her husband and kids, and it was called 8 Passengers. The videos focused mostly on life with the kids, and they got a lot of views from sharing their more extreme parenting choices and punishments. Notably, when one of their sons went to a wilderness camp for his behavior, which if you've not heard of those wilderness camps, it's essentially a camp where kids go and a lot of abuse and trauma happens at these camps. The kids are completely mistreated. They're forced into terrible living conditions. They're not given adequate food or places to sleep. They're not cared for at all. And sometimes, unfortunately, kids don't even make it out of these camps due to the severe living conditions. And Ruby has also shared moments like her daughter's first period, as I mentioned, and her son, who was sent to the camp, also had his bed taken away as punishment for pranking his little brother, and he had been sleeping on a beanbag for months as a result of that.
My bedroom was taken away for 7 months, and then you give it back like a couple weeks ago.
I don't think our viewers know that.
You've been sleeping on a beanbag.
I was sleeping on a beanbag since October, and they gave my room back like 2 weeks ago.
Chad showed that he was not able to manage himself sharing a bedroom with Russell.
So when we moved, the bigger room in the basement was automatically his, and I didn't have a room, but we like put one on hold for me.
So a lot of you are like, hey, that's not fair because Chad got the lesser bedroom and Russell got the bigger bedroom. Russell got the big bedroom and Chad got the smaller bedroom. And Russell's bigger bedroom also had a bathroom. But what you guys didn't know was Chad didn't get any room. He didn't get anything. He was sleeping on the floor in the family room. And he just got the bedroom back, and it's because he's shown up consistently without bullying the kids.
Also made a video once explaining how her youngest daughter, who was 5 at the time, forgot to pack a lunch for school, and this was a really controversial video that she made.
Text message from teacher, and she said that did not pack a lunch today, and can I bring a lunch over to the school? This happens quite often when you're raising children, because I know that her teacher is uncomfortable with her being hungry and not having a lunch, and it would ease her discomfort if I came to the school with a lunch. But I responded and just said I was responsible for making her lunches in the morning, and she actually told me she did pack a lunch. So the natural outcome is she's just going to need to be hungry, and hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch, because then she's not going to learn from the natural outcome. My hope is that she'll be hungry and come home and go, oh man, that was really painful being hungry all day. I will make sure to always have a lunch with me.
Obviously, people thought that was crazy to begin with. Like, that's already way too far. And her content took a turn when she got involved with another creator named Jody Hildebrandt, who is a therapist. I, again, use that very lightly, specializing in family therapy, but she takes a very heavily religious approach. Jody and Ruby started making content together, utilizing Ruby's already built up social media presence, and they called it Moms of Truth. And a lot of people noticed a bigger shift in how Ruby talked about things. She was saying stuff like how kids are deceptive and not living in truth if they're disobedient.
And in the end, each of us will account to God for how we protected kids. I've been full-time. You wonder where I've been on my vlogs? You wonder why I left YouTube? It's to save my kids. No amount of money. And I'm telling you, I was making millions. And I left it because my kids were being hurt. With entitlement, they were being hurt. With people's advice, and they didn't have a mother up the front saying, I don't care what the world's opinion is. This is the truth, and this is where I stand. And fortunately, I had a chance. I had them in my home long enough to do it, and I'm not going to lose them. They're seeing truth, they're accepting truth, they're loving truth. And so this is my passion, is to invite you to stand in truth and put your opinions to the side for a minute. Because your kids are the target of distortion. Love principles more than my child. Yikes, that's a really, and that is the truth. That is the truth. She just knows she's getting a hit by not eating. And she's getting a hit by lying about it. And you are so easily fooled that you go along with it. You need to know what other influences are coming into her life. I would get her off of the smartphone, off of the phone, off of the internet, because all of those are sources that endorse and enable and encourage the lack of eating. They are sources of distortion and lust. Your daughter is being very controlling.
Her views were already always quite polarizing in my opinion, but it got even more extreme once Jody Hildebrandt was in the picture, and as more time went on, it was more and more extreme and more bizarre. And everyone knew that it was bad and that the situation was just weird, but no one could have imagined the conditions that the kids were being forced to live in. I think the older 2 kids had moved out already, but it was discovered that her youngest 2 kids were trapped in the home, given no food and no water. They were severely malnourished and they were physically harmed as well. I'm not going to get into the details, but the abuse was severe. And that was all found out when one of the kids heroically was able to escape and get to a neighbor's house where they were able to ask for help, and it was reported. And that led to the arrest of both Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrandt. So that, like I said, is the most notable and extreme instance of documented abuse on one of these family channels. And there was also a recent TikTok mom who went viral named Hannah Hyatt, or Nurse Hannah, who was called out for the behavior seen by her son in videos, which led people to question what was going on behind the scenes, and they did a deep dive dive into her content more. And it seemed like Hannah and her husband had barely wanted to give the kid any food. She was not very nurturing or loving to him at all. And it was seen in one of the videos where the son would like flinch, like he was very like caving in on himself basically when the dad would approach him.
Things I don't really care about as a mom. Now, I'm not changing my kid's diaper when they pee. I've never done that. Do you know how expensive diapers are? Day where there were 17 dirty diapers lying around my house, but hey, at least my family's fed. My family is healthy, my kids are healthy, my kids are happy.
She tried to make a video saying that people were just ridiculous for even suggesting that there could be anything going on.
So the fact that I even have to address this right now is kind of insane. Social media is just, it's a scary place. Those two have the strongest bond. There's the strongest father-son bond that I know of anyone else. In the video that you guys are all freaking out about, they're just playing. They're always playing. They're always playing where they scare each other. James is obsessed with dinosaurs and bears, and but they look away and they come back and they scare each other, and they play, like when they throw something, they'll play throw, you know, you like psych them out, you know, and they flinch and whatever. Like that's what they're always doing. They're always like hiding behind couches and jumping at each other and chasing each other in the house and up the stairs and down the stairs and tackling each other. They're always playing constantly. Nothing's going on. You can't believe everything you see on social media. You just can't. I promise, and when I promise this, I'm serious. Nothing is going on.
That's how her husband and her son play and things like that. I think that some people did contact CPS, although I don't know the result of that or if anything was ever done or found out. Hannah did stop posting for like about a month, and then I think she did just come back to posting relatively recently again as if nothing had happened, although I don't think her son is very much a focus of her content anymore like he was. And like I said, we don't know for sure if anything was found out or if anything was done, but a lot of people were concerned that if that's being shown on camera, how much is going on that's not being shown? And I know with that one, there's no clear answer, but it just felt like something worthwhile to mention because it was such a huge situation online late last year and then into early this year. And then there was another example of a mommy vlogger on TikTok where an arrest was actually made. I'm not going to name the mother only because in all the articles and coverage I've actually seen about the arrest, the mom was not named. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's to protect the privacy of the kids or what, but I've just noticed that her name is not brought up. I will say though, if you look at the situation on TikTok at all, it's pretty obvious to see who it is, but I'm just not going to use the name just for fear of like, if no one else was allowed to, I'm probably not allowed to. But she's an Australian mommy vlogger who posted a lot of content about her kids, specifically her 1-year-old daughter, who had been experiencing very many mysterious, very serious health ailments. But she posted tons of content specifically of the young girl having seizures, needing brain surgery, etc. She did make a video at one point saying that her daughter had slept up to 100 hours, which obviously is not normal, and that signifies something very wrong is going on.
A Queensland mum went viral online.
Good morning.
But in the last few months, her usually upbeat content took a dark turn.
Might need brain surgery in a couple of weeks.
An awful tragedy, not only rocking the family, but also their strong social media support.
Knowing in my heart that had something wrong.
The woman, who we can't show or name for legal reasons, posted distressing videos online, her daughter spending her birthday in hospital, another gearing up for surgery.
We are going through the hardest week of our life.
But it since became public there could be more to this story than meets the eye. Horrific allegations the toddler was a victim of something far more sinister.
And viewers started to notice actually that the mother's behavior seemed kind of off. She would be crying, but there didn't seem to be any tears. And in one video that specifically set off alarm bells was a video where she interrupted her crying about her daughter's health to say how she really could use a coffee, but that she doesn't have a coffee maker and she needs a new one.
That our daughter's brain is covered in tumors. And what is worse is that we found this out on the same day that our other daughter passed away 4 years ago. I don't know whether that's like Lily saying that she's here with us or if it's just a really shitty day. But I need a coffee. Let's make a coffee together. I also don't have a coffee machine and I really need a new coffee together. I also don't have a coffee machine and I really need a new coffee. Like I really need a real coffee right now, but I've just got the stick ones. It's gonna have to do.
Which again, people thought that was very odd. She paused her crying, pointing out that she needs a new coffee maker in hopes that someone would feel sympathy and send her one, because there were other videos when they were living in the Ronald McDonald house while her daughter was undergoing like treatments and things. People would send items to her PO box, and she would do like big PO box unboxings. So obviously she was called out and people thought that she was just looking for sympathy and for someone to send her a new coffee maker. Needless to say, viewers really started questioning things after this, but so did the nurses that were working on her daughter. They had noticed that the story that the mother was portraying on social media was quite different than what they were seeing in real life that was actually happening. For example, she would talk about her daughter getting brain surgeries for sympathy on TikTok, but the surgeries were actually discovery surgeries because they were trying to figure out what could be wrong with her daughter because the doctors were not finding anything actually wrong with her to be causing the symptoms that she was having. The alarm bells that were set off by the nurses did lead to a toxicology report being done, and it found out that she had been giving her daughter Valium to make her sick, and that's why she was sleeping so much, and the mother was actually arrested.
Police have charged a social media influencer with torture and other offences, accusing the woman of giving her 1-year-old daughter unauthorised medicine before filming and posting videos of the child online to elicit donations and followers. The 34-year-old woman was arrested at a home in Underwood in Brisbane South this morning. Police allege the woman went to great lengths to obtain unauthorised medicines before giving it to the little girl between August and October last year. It's further alleged she took photos and videos of the child in immense pain and distress to entice monetary donations. The influencer is alleged to have defrauded donors of $60,000.
Not only are we alleging that the child was tortured over a 3-month period, now again use those words, suffered severe emotional and physical distress and harm.
Police allege she carefully concealed what she was doing until it was reported to police in October last year by medical staff at a hospital in Brisbane where the child was being treated.
And then the final very small example I have of just a mom just doing the most unhinged and deranged things and posting on TikTok for views is there's a viral TikTok mom who unplugged her NICU baby's monitor because she wanted the nurse to come in to go get her a sandwich.
Do this. No, you're fine. It's not an emergency. Oh. I just was gonna see if you could bring me a turkey sandwich. We'll do it right now. I'm tangled up, girl. I'm really tangled. Let's wait for it. Because I do need my drinks.
500,000 views. All it's gonna do is bring more traction to my page and more money in my pocket, so.
And she thought that was just a normal and funny thing to post. Oh, relatable, let me just post this on TikTok. Obviously, she got called out for that. And then the final issue that comes to mind for me is that the kids are really seen as just business assets. We've seen so many times how these kids just become business assets to the parents rather than like actual functioning members of the family. And obviously, we do only see the filmed moments, but as the money starts to roll in, it definitely seems like the cameras are rolling more and more often, and it becomes really clear that a lot of what they do is solely just for the channel, as mentioned, like pranking the kids, pulling them out of school and homeschooling them so that they're home more to film, things like that. Or there's the case of the Labrant family where they pull out the older kids from school so that they can care for their younger siblings because they just have too many babies at this point.
And so I feel like her going to school 2 days a week would be super good for her, and then her home 3 days a week would be so nice for all of us. Just like, first of all, seeing her more, spending more time with her, having like more quality time with her in the morning. Second of all, she's helpful with kids. So I feel like having her here would be nice, just with another baby coming too. Like it's nice having an extra pair of hands around the house, even if it's a 9-year-old, you know, and she likes it. Like she likes helping me out.
And then there's also an instance of a YouTuber who, again, this was a huge situation, you've probably heard of it before, named myka stauffer, who literally adopted an autistic boy from China as like a talking point for her videos, only to return him a few years later. And those videos blew up her channel. Like the whole adoption process, bringing him home, things like that, they really like put her channel on the map. She was already a fair-sized YouTuber, but those videos like completely sent her viral. And now I want to say, I do understand that sometimes adoptions just don't work. Apparently around 5% of adoptions are dissolved after being finalized. However, myka kept this boy for 2 years, getting him settled into his new life, only to then put him under more extreme stress and anxiety when she decided to return him and dissolve the adoption 2 years after he had been with her family. And after all of this came out, it was pointed out how when she discussed her son's diagnosis, she was saying how his only true need was a loving family, and that he's her son and he's not returnable and things like that, which that definitely came back to bite her in the ass.
This is our boy, and we don't need to consult with any more physicians until I bring this little guy home. He's our son, and that's that. He's not we aren't going to trade him in. We're not going to return him. Sent off our imaging to our physician that's kind of been on board with Holly. She's been reviewing the file. She's been very optimistic about this little boy. She's like, I don't see anything wrong with him. He looks perfect to me. And when she got the imaging, her optimism went down significantly. And it's nothing against this physician, you know, she's just listening to what other doctors, other neurosurgeons and neurodevelopment specialists are telling her. But her prognosis and everything for our son just went drastic. She kind of almost discouraged us from adopting him, like saying that this is going to be severe. What we did is we took his CT scans to our second physician because we had 2 doctors on board reviewing our son's file. And that doctor gave us a much better thought process. He said, you know what she said could be very well true, but look at the videos on this little guy. He is developmentally on track. He is talking, he is walking, he's throwing balls, he's climbing furniture, he's acting, he's walking and talking like a normal 1-year-old and doing things that are beyond his developmental schedule. So be aware that that little brain may be compensating more than we realize. And my child is not returnable. So when I heard all of the things that doctor was telling us, it kind of went in one ear and out the other. I wasn't in a state of denial. I accepted and took on everything that she said. And I sat down with Jim. I said, worst case situation, if our little boy at one point in his life, he needed to be in a wheelchair and he needed full on care, would you still love him? And we, without a doubt in our minds, we knew no matter what state he came to us.
In the video where they discussed the dissolution of the adoption, Myka and James had said that once he came home, there was a lot more special needs that they weren't aware of and that they were not told.
And, with international adoption, sometimes there's unknowns and things that are not transparent on files and things like that. And once Huxley came home, there was a lot more special needs that we weren't aware of and that we were not told.
I find that really interesting because before they had brought him home, they made videos about how one doctor had said that his special needs would be very severe and that it wasn't a great outlook. And Myka and James had basically said that doctor was being negative. They sought out his second opinion with a doctor who was giving them a much more positive outlook, and they decided to go with that and go ahead with the adoption. But it's interesting that they're saying that he had more special needs that they were not told and that his needs were more severe when they were in fact told that, and it's documented because they told us they were told that. It came out to light that the boy was no longer in their care because viewers had been posting comments asking where he was for weeks since noticing his absence in the videos, which obviously was a drastic shift compared to how many videos were focused on him at the beginning of the adoption. Apparently, like the online detectives, as they call them, had even gone to James's car theme channel where they noticed that the car seat for the boy was no longer visible. It was a huge situation. There's actually apparently recently a documentary put out about the situation, so let me know if you want a full video about that. Ultimately, I think the thing to note about all the issues that I've discussed so far is the effect that these things will have and do have on the children. A lot of the kids still are very young, but I think as they get older, we will see more and more kids speaking out about the effects of growing up in a family vlogging household and just how that environment really did negatively impact them. I know Sherry and Chad Frankie both have spoken out about being in a family vlogging household and how growing up the way that they did really negatively impact them. Sherry wrote a book about growing up in the way that she did. I was planning to make a video about her book, so I know I'm kind of late to the game, but let me know if you would still like to see that and be interested in that. And Sherry also spoke out, which I'm going to play it here, in a Utah legislative committee about child influencers being forced to work.
I come today as a victim of family vlogging. My goal is not to present any idea of a solution to this problem, but to shed light on the ethical and monetary issues that come from being a child influencer. When children become stars in their family's online content, they become child influencers. It is more than just filming your family life and putting it online. It is a full-time job with employees, business credit cards, managers, and marketing strategies. The difference between family vlogging and a normal business, however, is that all the children are employees. Children from before they are born to the day they turn 18 have become the stars of family businesses on YouTube, Instagram, and other social media platforms. Utah is specifically a hotspot for family content due to the LDS culture around family and the goal to share the church with the world. We also have large families, which makes family content more lucrative. But I want to be clear that there is never, ever a good reason for posting your children online for money or fame. There is no such thing as a moral or ethical family vlogger. At first, family vlogging is an alluring business that can bring high revenue. For my family, it became the primary source of income, as is often the case with most full-time family vloggers. Many child influencers are paid for their work, as I was, and this money has helped me in my adult life. However, this payment was usually a bribe. For example, we'd be rewarded $100 or a shopping trip if we filmed a particularly embarrassing moment or an exciting event in our lives. Or other times, simply going on vacation was expected to be payment enough, because most kids don't get to go on regular and expensive trips, never mind the fact that the child's labor is actually what paid for the vacation or trip. There is no law in place to guarantee that child influencers get any money from their work. Any payment that does happen is under the table with no paper trail. And how do we determine how much a child should make from appearing in family content? What price is worth giving up your childhood? But despite any monetary payment children may receive, don't let this excuse the 24/7 labor that these children are subjected to. As a child, I was fully aware that I was an employee. The business was successful when I was happy or when I shared my hardships with the world. Some of our most popular videos were when my eyebrow was accidentally waxed off and the whole world saw a crying teenager when I just wanted to mourn in private. Or the time I was violently ill and got the leading role in the video that day. My friends became scarce because dates were filmed and none of my friends wanted to be on camera. The camera never stops and there is no such thing as a break from filming. At the time, I tell you I had a choice in what was filmed, but I've come to learn that every child influencer, in a way, suffers from Stockholm Syndrome. Most child influencers would probably tell you they have full control over what is posted, but the reality is that their parents bribe and shame them into posting their most vulnerable moments. In fact, many child influencers may tell you that they enjoy their work because of the monetary perks they receive or the fun experiences that they can have. After all, what child would say no to a fun vacation or shopping spree if all they needed to do was film an embarrassing moment? I did not realize the impact that filming as a child would have on me now. My social media became flooded with rumors of having sexual relations with my own brother, to being called a baby birthing machine at the age of 13. All these things have stuck with me, and I will forever live between the ages of 13 to 17 in many of my viewers' minds. In addition, pedophiles stalk the internet, specifically seeking out child influencers. I promise you that the parents are aware of these predators and choose to post their children anyway. But even despite a good paycheck, I want to be absolutely clear that there is no amount of money that can justify selling your soul as a child to the world. In no other industry would we justify unregulated child labor with a huge paycheck, and we should not do that here. If I could go back and do it all again, I'd rather have an empty bank account now and not have my childhood plastered all over the internet. No amount of money I received has made what I've experienced worth it. I don't want people to look at me and blame my unique circumstances with a mother in prison to the Frankie criminal case. Family vlogging ruined my innocence long before Ruby committed a crime. I promise you that my experiences are not unique and are happening to child influencers all over Utah and the country. So let's tackle this issue before it becomes a bigger crisis than it already is.
Then I also found a post on Reddit about someone coming forward about how they grew up in a family vlogging household and it ruined their life. I'm going to read the post here and we'll kind of talk about it. I, F17, so female 17, was brought up by parents who family vlog. They started vlogging when I was around 7 and stopped 3 years ago. I want to hugely avoid speculation as to who my family is, so I won't be sharing much detail. The channel had over 500k subscribers, and my parents finally stopped when there was a mental health crisis in my family as a result of the channel. In brackets, this was never shared online. If you are a family vlogger or are considering it, please read this and consider my perspective. I've wanted to share for a while, but I didn't know how to. I loved it for a while. I loved being the center of attention while the camera was on, and I loved getting more toys. I stopped loving it when I realized the only time I got attention was when the cameras were on, and the only time I got toys was when I performed in a way I was meant to. I'm gonna list some stuff that happened and how it affected us. My siblings and I were so paranoid that there were cameras on us that the only place we felt comfortable changing was in the bathroom with the lights off. I couldn't talk to my mom about anything when my mental health began to get bad because I was so scared she'd share it online. If I'd asked her not to, it wouldn't have made a difference. I now barely have a relationship with my mom. My mom considered homeschooling us so that she'd have more time to make content during the day. My best friend's mom said she didn't want my friend to be my friend anymore because my mom kept filming her without permission. My mom didn't care how upset I was. I didn't have a single private moment. My mom woke me up with the camera on and she filmed often right until we went to sleep. She filmed us in the bath, and although she tried getting off the internet, it downloaded online forever. She shared when I got my period even though I told her I didn't want her to. Someone attempted to kidnap my sister and found it easy because they knew her full name, address, school, and details about her. My sister didn't know he was a stranger because he knew so much about her. So as this person mentioned, it turns attention into a form of currency when you are rewarded by performing well for the camera. And she pointed out as well what I mentioned earlier, that privacy is completely non-existent, and the kids start to even get scared just to exist in their own homes, not knowing what's going to be filmed or where the cameras are. And she also mentioned how she couldn't talk to her mom about anything for fear it would be shared, which again, like, is just so damaging to that relationship and the childhood trauma that would come out of that. And this person mentioned that her mom filmed them in the bath and that she's tried to have it removed, but it's already been saved and downloaded and will be online to some extent forever. And not to mention, I'm sure you can imagine, as we talked about before, but who would have saved and has access to those videos, or what type of person would save it. And again, this very much reminds me of how wren Eleanor will probably feel looking back at the type of content her mom shared and who was reacting to it and saving it. And I feel like when she gets older, her, or other kids like her who grew up in a similar way, are going to realize that their parents willingly put that out there knowing that they were in harm's way. And then the final point that she made was also an important one about safety, which kind of ties into what I said earlier, how it's so dangerous for the kids because people know so much about them that they can easily find them and potentially try to kidnap them. And in this instance, she pointed out something that I didn't even really consider, but the child didn't even realize that the person who was trying to take them was a stranger. Like, they didn't know that was a stranger because this person had so much information about them. So ultimately, the main thing I feel is that the kids become more of a business opportunity than a person with their own wants and needs. I just think there is so much more harm than good that comes out of this type of content, that the money and the views and the few fun moments like the Disney trips are just not worth it in the end. And just to play devil's advocate, I do think there is a way to share a little bit about your kids online without it being problematic. Like, I myself follow a few influencers who share their kids in like, you know, family photos or like a cute little pose photo every now and then. And they talk about their kid's day, not the details of it, but more so like, oh, we went to school and then we went out for dinner or something like that. You know, just like general, a little bit of talking. It's mostly the mom talking. The kids are not always heavily featured in the content, and they're never in vulnerable positions or never getting angry or upset, or they're not sharing details like their health information or how their potty training is going or things like that. And I do think that, you know, sharing like a family photo to Instagram every now and then or whatever is relatively harmless, and I think there can be a balance. I think it's totally okay to share some of those moments and to not completely shy away from hiding this entire big aspect of your life without it consuming your content and being about the kids driving your income and driving the content and sharing those vulnerable moments of them. So there definitely is a balance that I think some people do a really great job of achieving, and obviously other people very much do not. I feel like there is even more I could say about this, but this video is probably already way too long. So let me know down below if you would like to see a video about Myka Stauffer documentary, Sherry Frankie's book, maybe both of them. If you want to see that, let me know. And definitely just let me know your thoughts on all of what I talked about today. And with that all being said, I will catch you in the next one. Bye.